Only a couple weeks back, in midst of the huge terrorist crash that Donald Trump brought over the markets, I told you that we bought the dip in both Microsoft and Palantir, and so far already we have racked up quite a bit of profits in both stocks. And that's why today I'm gonna give you an update on how these stocks developed from our entries and what we see in the upcoming future for both of them, so stay tuned, we're jumping right in after the intro. Hello and welcome to another video by HKCM Global. My name is Joe, and as just mentioned a couple weeks back, I'm gonna just take you straight to that video. A couple weeks back here in that video, right here, now or never, we just bought the dip, and here's why you should too. I showed you that we bought the dip in both Palantir stock and Nvidia. As you can see here, that was on April the 15th, and so since currently we are in the end of May, that's roughly 1.5 months, so roughly 45 days, give or take. And since proof is in the pudding, we will check together directly how these entries that I announced to you here in that video performed ever since. And to do so, let's together jump to the point where we analyzed Palantir. Yes, we started off with Palantir. And as you can see here, we had a target zone here in that stock. And I told you that we went long in that target zone here. Back then we had already exited the target zone. As you can see here, the course was standing at $92.62 already. Let's check together what happened ever since. So as you can see, today, currently, as we speak, we are sitting at $123.60 in Palantir. And from the upper limit of our target zone that we had established back then and where we beautifully dipped into, we would have already accumulated over 55% of profits in Palantir stock in just a matter of a couple of weeks. However, to be fully honest and transparent with you, we did not take our entry directly in the target zone because we were rather hesitant because of this down peak here, whether the target zone would hold or not. And that's why we were a little late to the party and we joined into the stock with our model portfolio, which we're also going to talk about in just a second. We joined into the stock at only $85, so roughly just a little bit higher than our target zone. So $85 roughly here, but still up until the current day, this would also be over 45% of profits. So roughly 45% of profits in 45 days ever since we did the entry to that portfolio. And I don't know about you, but I think that's a great performance. That is nothing to complain about at all. 45%, 45 days sounds perfect. But then what is our expectation from here onward? So as we back then predicted, we have so far concluded an A, B, C correction to the bottom, to the pivot point of the wave 4, ever since we had completed the overreaching wave 3 back in February of this year. And ever since this pivot point here for the wave 4, we are currently in the ongoing development of course, after a wave 4, you guessed it, the wave 5 complete, the overreaching wave 1 top, which we expect somewhere here in the area of roughly $170 to $180, but we do not have a target zone yet here for this wave. So that's why you should stay tuned for our updates here on the target zone for Palantir stock, because as soon as we complete this overreaching wave 5 here, which in turn would then complete the overreaching wave 1, we would definitely see a huge correction coming in, as you can see here already indicated on the chart. And that would definitely be probably something in the area of a 50% correction, maybe even deeper. But that's something that we will pay very, very close attention to, that we will track very closely to give you an outlook with more precision as soon as we have more confidence on where exactly this wave 5 will land. And if you have been a viewer here on this channel, you probably know that in many cases we also have an alternative scenario, because we want to give you full transparency on what we see in the charts. We do not want to be here sitting like a guru pretending we know every single move, but sometimes in the charts the picture is not perfectly clear. And that's why in these instances we always communicated to you directly. And here in this case, this is one of those cases where we could potentially have seen an alternative wave A correction here and we could now have seen an overshooting B wave in still the corrective mode. And if this was the case, we would not directly go through to this wave 5 top here, but we would rather go already even way deeper in this wave C to unfold. But this we only have at a 30% probability, and we only still have it on the chart because you can see here that with this resistance from the previous high in Palantir, the course really struggles to climb up above and remain up above. But as soon as the course here manages to climb and hold beyond that resistance, we will take this one here off the charts, and then it's just 100% probability here for this primary scenario, no questions asked. And how about then the more long-term outlook here in Palantir? More long-term outlook, similar story as I just showed you here on the more imminent outlook. We have our target zone here on the chart, and we are looking at this overreaching wave 1 top to be completed by the already ongoing development of the wave 5. Here likewise the same alternative scenario with a 30% probability, which will probably be decided in the next couple of days by the price movement that we see around this resistance here at 125.40. So it's definitely an interesting time for Palantir and a real deciding time here at this resistance. And if you have money currently still invested into Palantir, I highly advise you to not just wait for a YouTube video like this that comes out maybe every couple of weeks, again speaking about Palantir, but I would advise you to have an analysis that you follow closely. It doesn't have to be ours, but just for your own safety and the safety of your portfolio, I advise you to have an analysis that you can trust. And if you are to decide to become a subscriber to our daily market analysis, of course, this will be my pleasure. And as a quick reminder, currently we have the discount code Global20 going on, where you can get 20% discount on every single analysis that you can subscribe to out of the 200 that we provide and analyze on a daily basis. Link down there in the description. But now back to topic. The second stock then that I spoke to you about here in this video, and where I shared with you our entry into our portfolio, it was Microsoft. Yes, all right. Back then we were sitting at $389, and again we had here a target zone beautifully hit for the pivot point of our wave 4, and I can show you even here in our portfolio. And by the way, back here you can also see the discount code Global20 for now currently 20% on every single analysis that you want to subscribe to. But regarding the entry into Microsoft, this entry here we did to our Tech 33 portfolio. Microsoft here, where are you? Microsoft most recent entry at $369.50, just shortly before that video that I just shared with you. And you can see here that on current levels we are as of today also here 22% in the profit in the same amount of only 1.5 months. So in a giant like Microsoft, where you have honestly pretty limited downside. I mean, Microsoft is one of the Magnificent Seven. It's a huge global player. They are hugely invested into AI. They have a market leader with OpenAI, what they're heavily invested into. So in stocks like this, you have super limited downside. Let's be honest. That's not some huge high flyer where you can rack up huge profits, and in such a solid and established company, 22% in just a matter of 1.5 months. I think that's a great performance, and that's something to brag about. But anyways, what's our outlook for Microsoft here from now onward? So again, here you see the very same target zone that already I showed you in the video from mid of April. This target zone here, 40 wave 4. Of course, here there's not so much price development yet, but now there's a lot of price development that came through. We also broke and annihilated actually this resistance of back then $410.72. That resistance here, the course managed to completely break through, even jump through with this here huge opening gap that Microsoft had. I believe it was after the earnings, not too sure about that. So let's maybe quickly check if I'm mistaken or not. So yes, that was their market opening jump after their earnings, and the resistance here at 410 that we just spoke about was completely annihilated. And ever since, the course was just picture perfectly following our primary scenario of a wave 1, 2, 3 wave movement so far, and we're now currently awaiting the wave 3 top and the wave 4 corrective mode to follow then. And so this wave 5 that you can see here to complete this 5 wave move will also be in turn the wave 5 of the overreaching wave 5 here to complete the overreaching wave 1. And you know the drill. After top of a overreaching wave 1, there will be a huge correction to follow through, and that's what we also expect here from Microsoft. So from current levels, there still is a bit of headroom, there still is a bit of way to go. So you remember we already racked up 23% roughly of profits ever since our entry, and we will probably not collect the same amount of profit again up until this wave 1 top here, but we are roughly expecting something in the ballpark of another 15 to maybe even 25% to go, but that's not guaranteed at all up until this wave 1 top. But we also do not have a target zone here yet, so that is something to also pay attention to, pay very close attention to, because as soon as this wave 1 top here is in, we expect a major correction to come into Microsoft stock, even though it is a global player. Because despite all their size and momentum, no single global player is immune to corrections, and they need corrections. The market needs corrections. It's always a breathing in, a breathing out, because a course that just keeps climbing and climbing is never healthy and will at some point eventually lead to a blow off top. And if that happens, that is a devastation in the market that could have been avoided if we had already on the way up to the top collected a couple of those big corrections as we expect here in Microsoft to come. Okay then. That was it for today. I hope you already subscribed to this channel here, turned on the bell notifications so that you will never miss a video that we pump out here as free value for you, and so that you can be more informed in your trading decisions and in your investments. Also, if you want even more free value, there is our socials linked down there below. Instagram and X, we post there daily. We have amazing inspiring quotes, we have market news, and of course, if you want to get a subscriber to a daily market analysis service, which is not free of charge, but even that much more value, also linked down there in the description. Still the code global20 already running. So make use of that opportunity, and I'm happy to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.